Pyrethroid sprays dominate every pest control aisle in America, but lab data shows resistant bed bugs survive them at up to 2,000-fold above lethal doses. Meanwhile, a dollar bottle of hydrogen peroxide from your medicine cabinet has been EPA registered as a pesticide since 1977, kills aphids at 95% in 30 minutes, and has zero documented insect resistance. The reason traces back to a chemical reaction first performed in 1818. In 1818, a French chemist named Louis-Jacques Thenard combined barium peroxide with nitric acid in his Paris laboratory, producing a clear, slightly acidic liquid he called eau oxygene. The reaction, barium peroxide plus 2 nitric acid yielding barium nitrate, water, and hydrogen peroxide, was carefully recorded in his lab notes and published in the Annales de Chimie. Thenard's notebooks described the unmistakable effervescence and bleaching power of this new compound, which he recognized as a potent oxidizer long before its medical or pesticidal uses became apparent. His discovery quickly drew attention in scientific circles, with contemporaries like Gay-Lussac praising the creation of what would become the world's first laboratory-made oxidant. The pale blue solution Thenard isolated in 1818 is chemically identical to the 3% hydrogen peroxide found in medicine cabinets today. More than a century and a half later, the United States Environmental Protection Agency formally recognized hydrogen peroxide as a pesticide. On December 5, 1977, the EPA listed it in the Federal Register as a broad-spectrum antimicrobial and insecticidal agent, granting it registration under the Federal Insecticide, Fungicide, and Rodenticide Act. The agency's risk assessment highlighted 3 features: hydrogen peroxide's oxidative mode of action, its rapid breakdown into water and oxygen, and its low toxicity to humans and the environment. The registration allowed diluted household concentrations down to 3% to be used for controlling insects and pathogens, provided label instructions were followed. This official endorsement set hydrogen peroxide apart from conventional neurotoxic sprays, establishing its legal standing as a pest control agent long before pyrethroid resistance became a household concern. Hydrogen peroxide's power as a pest killer comes from its chemistry, not from targeting insect nerves or muscles. When a 3% solution touches an insect, it instantly begins to break down, releasing reactive oxygen species, tiny aggressive molecules like hydroxyl radicals. These radicals attack the insect's cell membranes, tearing apart the fatty layers that protect every cell. Inside, proteins and DNA are oxidized as well, causing a chain reaction that insects cannot stop. The Fenton reaction, triggered by trace metals in the insect's body, supercharges this effect, making the damage swift and total. Unlike pyrethroid sprays, which depend on binding to a specific sodium channel in nerve tissue, hydrogen peroxide's attack is broad and unsparing. There's no single gene or mutation that can shield an insect from oxidative breakdown. Decades of lab studies and field observations, including surveys up to 2012, have yet to document a single case of inherited resistance to hydrogen peroxide in any insect species. Even when researchers have tried to breed tolerance by exposing bugs to sub-lethal doses for multiple generations, they've found no evidence of lasting adaptation. This is why hydrogen peroxide remains effective year after year, while pyrethroid products routinely lose ground to resistant strains. The chemistry does not allow for loopholes. For homeowners and gardeners, this means the $1 bottle delivers the same kill on day 1 as it does after seasons of use, with no risk of pests learning to survive. A single 3% hydrogen peroxide bottle delivers lethal results across a spectrum of household and garden pests. Extension mortality tables show aphids drop by 95% within 30 minutes of foliar spray, while spider mites and thrips suffer over 90% and 80 to 95% mortality in under an hour. Fungus gnat larvae, a common soil nuisance, are wiped out at rates above 85% after a single drench. Mosquito larvae exposed to 3% solution experience complete kill in less than half an hour. Even the most stubborn indoor adversaries respond. Direct application on ants and mealybugs yields over 90% kill within an hour or two, and bedbugs sprayed at their harborages reach 100% mortality in 2 hours. These numbers stand in sharp contrast to the collapse of pyrethroid sprays. As recently as 2023, bedbug resistance ratios ranged from 55-fold to more than 2,000-fold higher than laboratory baselines, meaning that what once killed with a single dose now requires hundreds or thousands of times more to achieve the same effect. Field studies confirm the trend. Pyrethroid-resistant mosquito strains exposed to household aerosols show just 41 to 50% mortality, compared to 99% in susceptible strains. No such resistance multipliers have ever been recorded for hydrogen peroxide. The same $1 bottle achieves consistent results year after year, without the evolutionary escape routes that have left pyrethroid products struggling to keep pace. For homeowners, this means a single, cheap, over-the-counter solution delivers broad-spectrum control, while expensive store sprays falter against the very pests they were designed to stop. Household aerosol sprays, long trusted to keep mosquitoes at bay, now falter against the insects they once controlled. In a controlled field trial, researchers in Merida, Mexico, tested 2 commercial pyrethroid-based aerosols against 3 strains of Aedes aegypti mosquitoes collected from local homes. The trial design was simple. Resistant mosquitoes were released into rooms, exposed to the same sprays found on store shelves, and monitored for mortality after 24 hours. The results were sobering. Only 41% of the resistant mosquitoes died after space spraying. When the same rooms were treated with a residual surface spray, mortality rose to just 50%. For comparison, a laboratory strain with no resistance history suffered 99% mortality under identical conditions. The difference was not a statistical fluke. Confidence intervals for the resistant and susceptible groups did not overlap. These numbers are not outliers. They reflect a widespread pattern across major cities where Aedes mosquitoes have acquired mutations that shield their nerve channels from pyrethroid action. What was once a one-spray solution now leaves half the mosquitoes alive and ready to bite. The gap between expectation and reality has grown so wide that even repeated applications fail to deliver the control promised on the label. For homeowners, this means the familiar can of bug spray may offer little more than a false sense of security when resistance is entrenched. Inside the world's highest security labs, BSL-3 facilities, hydrogen peroxide is trusted to do what few chemicals can. These labs routinely deploy vaporized hydrogen peroxide at concentrations of 1,400 parts per million to sterilize entire rooms, targeting pathogens like anthrax spores and Ebola virus. The standard protocol demands a 6-log reduction. That means a million-fold drop in viable organisms, confirmed by biological indicators placed throughout the space. Published studies document this threshold, with complete inactivation after just 45 minutes of exposure. The science is clear. When the stakes are containment of the world's most dangerous microbes, hydrogen peroxide is the agent of choice. Yet the same basic chemistry sits in a $1 bottle on a pharmacy shelf. Price audits from major United States retailers put a 32-ounce bottle of 3% hydrogen peroxide at $1.78, while a comparable pyrethroid-based spray averages $6.20 for the same volume. That's a 700% premium paid for a product that, in field trials, struggles against resistant pests. For the cost of a single can of aerosol, a homeowner could buy enough hydrogen peroxide to treat every baseboard, plant, and pot in the house, multiple times over. The economics are as stark as the science. The compound trusted to sterilize BSL-3 labs is not only more broadly effective, but also dramatically cheaper than the store-bought sprays that dominate household pest control aisles. Hydrogen peroxide's most overlooked advantage is what it leaves behind: nothing. After a typical household or garden application, EPA residue studies confirm that measurable hydrogen peroxide on treated surfaces drops below 0.5 milligrams per kilogram within half an hour. No synthetic byproducts remain. The only breakdown products are water and oxygen. This rapid disappearance stands in stark contrast to pyrethroid sprays, which can linger for weeks and accumulate in soil or water. For households with children, pets, or edible plants, the absence of persistent residue is more than a technicality. It means no waiting period or special cleanup after use. But the same chemical potency that wipes out pests also demands respect. Concentrations above 3% can damage plant leaves, causing visible scorch or bleaching within hours. Michigan State University's extension trials report leaf necrosis on tomatoes at just 6% peroxide, and even standard 3% solutions should be kept off delicate seedlings. For human safety, gloves are recommended when handling undiluted peroxide, as skin contact may cause mild irritation. Eye protection is a wise precaution, especially when spraying overhead or in breezy conditions. The protocol for home use is simple and field-tested. For crawling insects, spray undiluted 3% hydrogen peroxide directly along baseboards, cracks, and entry points. Allow at least 10 to 15 minutes of contact. Visible bubbling signals active oxidation. No rinsing is needed. Peroxide decomposes fully within 2 hours. For garden pests, mix 1 part 3% peroxide with 3 parts water for a foliar spray. Thoroughly wet the leaves, but avoid runoff. Repeat every 5 to 7 days during infestations. For fungus gnat larvae or soil pests, pour undiluted solution onto moist soil and wait 24 hours before watering again. Each step leverages hydrogen peroxide's fast-acting chemistry and zero residue profile, turning a common medicine cabinet staple into a ready, reliable tool for pest control. Today, rising insect resistance leaves many store-bought sprays lagging behind. Hydrogen peroxide, at $1 a bottle, offers a broad-spectrum kill with no documented resistance and near zero residue. For households weighing cost, science, and safety, the overlooked solution may already be in your cabinet. What would you trust?